Hello, I'm John anyway. Welcome back to Shropshire on this lovely day, heading down the A49. Now, somebody commented on a recent video and said, can you talk about sheep mastitis? Yes, I can. And then they said, is it true I can vaccinate my sheep against mastitis? And the answer to that is also yes, sort of. But that answer requires a bit of context. So stick with me and I will explain. Okay, so mastitis in sheep, and there are two types of mastitis that we talk about in sheep. Gangrenous mastitis is the sort that you've probably seen, sometimes called black bag. It's where the udder swells up, it goes cold, and in time it sloughs off, the whole thing falls off. It is horrible. If you've seen this sort of mastitis before, you will know that once it's set in, regardless of how you treat it, it ends up pretty much just running its course. Gangrenous mastitis is typically caused by one of two bacteria. The first of those bacteria is Staph aureus. Now, Staph aureus, it's all over the place, and it's quite often found living happily on the skin of the udder and of the teat in sheep, which is pretty inconvenient, with it also being a potential mastitis organism. The other bacteria which causes gangrenous mastitis in sheep is Mannheimia hemolytica, the one that you and I spend a lot of time calling Pasteurella. And you will know, if you watched our video on Pasteurella in lambs, that this bacteria lives in the throat of the lambs. So when it comes to this disease, the udder is really surrounded by bugs that will potentially cause it to have gangrenous mastitis, and it's got a pretty tough job in keeping all of them out. So how do those two bacteria get into the udder to cause gangrenous mastitis? Well, it's not typically through the teat canal as with the other form of mastitis. These bugs get in through lesions in the skin of the udder. Now, what causes damage to the skin of the udder? Well, there are two obvious things. Number one, ORF, which we know about. Number two, damage from the lamb's sucking. But why would we get damage to the teat from the lambs? Well, we get it when they are over-sucking, and we get over-sucking in lambs where there is not enough milk, and we get reduced milk yield when the pre-lambing and early lactation diet has been incorrect. If you're having a number of cases of this type of mastitis and you don't have ORF going through the flock, have a look at those teats. If you see bite marks and abrasions there that have come from the lambs, then it's quite likely that the milk yield that you has is not fulfilling them, and that is because of a nutritional deficit. When I see cases like this, it's normally the ewes with twins and triplets that are suffering from it, and that is the reason. Now, the second type of mastitis was the one that's most similar in nature to the mastitis we frequently see in dairy cattle. Acute mastitis is infection of the udder where the bugs have got up through the teat canal. And there are a host of bugs that can cause this in sheep, including but not limited to Staph aureus. We get clots or very watery serous fluid coming from the udder instead of milk, the udder getting swollen up but hot rather than cold, and we can normally treat these cases. When we're talking about acute mastitis, that is a hygiene related disease, and we can reduce the number of cases of that by just improving our pen hygiene. When it comes to gangrenous mastitis, we have to look at what's causing that damage to the udder. If it's just ORF, then speak to your vet about what your options are for ORF control in the flock. If it's because we've got reduced milk yield and we've got the lambs bothering those teats, damaging them by oversucking, well, we need to look at why we have a nutritional deficit. This year could be one of those years. I've seen a lot of forage analyses this time round that are not particularly good. The reason for that? Well, look at the weather that we had last summer. Not much of that was good forage making conditions. So I will urge you, always get your forage analysed. We've done a video on this. If we've got poor quality forage, then doing a balanced ration and making sure we're feeding the right amount of concentrate is not just going to mean that we get increased birth weights, it's going to mean that the milk yield is where it should be, and that will reduce the risk of mastitis. Finally, vaccination. And yes, there is a vaccine against mastitis in sheep, and it's called Vimco. It works specifically against Staph aureus, which, as we've said, is a major cause of mastitis in sheep, but it is by no means the only cause. So if you're having a lot of mastitis recurrently year after year on your farm, yes, you need to look at what the root cause of that is, but you may want to speak to your vet and perhaps put this vaccine in place. It doesn't prevent every case, but it could be of significant benefit to you if you are having a high incidence of Staph aureus mastitis. So that's it for this short video, the two different types of mastitis and how they are different and what you can do to reduce the risk of having them. I will be along with another video very soon, and I hope to see you there. Bye.